Hey guys, it's Lindsay with StillWaters Ranch. If you've been watching any of my channel, you know that we recently had baby goats. And I can't stop posting because it's what's going on at our ranch currently, but also they're just the cutest little things. So for this video, I'm going to tell you guys everything you need to know from the day the babies drop onto the ground and are born up until when we are going to wean and sell some of these babies. So I'm going to let this guy down because he's going to keep squealing, but I'll keep talking to you guys. So when your babies first drop, I tend to let the mamas do most all of the work during the birthing process and in general with their kids. They know what to do most of the time, and unless you have the rare goat that is a first-time mom or doesn't quite know or rejects her baby, most of the time the does can do everything perfectly. So when they first drop, they of course are not going to look like the prettiest. They're going to have stuff all over them, and I let the mamas clean them up. They do a great job of cleaning them up and cleaning themselves up. A lot of times they will eat around and lick the baby so that the smell of a new baby isn't there, so that coyotes or predators won't come and get their kids. So that's really, really helpful. The other thing is that your baby should typically start to stand up and walk around pretty early on. If they don't kind of make those strong progressions, the mom may reject their kid if they think that the kid is a weak kid. That doe may reject it. So watch out for that, but I've had no problems with that. The other thing on first day old kids is that you want to make sure that there's not any extreme weather, extreme cold or extreme heat. Typically kids are born in the fall or in the spring, kind of when the temperatures are milder. Unfortunately, my kids were born super late in the year. They were born in July, where it's really, really hot in Texas. And so I had to really kind of monitor them in the heat. I would see the babies when they were a few days old panting, and a few of them I would just kind of cool them off with some water when it got to the peak afternoon, that 3 p.m., 4 p.m., when the temperatures were over 100. As they've gotten a little bit older, they're a few weeks now, they have no problems handling the temperatures. But that extreme weather, when they're a few days old, they have a hard time regulating their body temperature. So just something to keep in mind and watch out for. The other thing is that when your kids are a few days old, they nurse for very, very short periods of time and more often throughout the day. And so when they nurse for short periods of time, you may not always see them nursing, and so you might be a little bit concerned, but as long as you see them one time during the day, they're probably getting it in. They're just taking very, very short little drinks because their bellies are small. The mom, the doe, might also leave her babies somewhere, and she may go off to graze. And I have a video of that I'm going to show you guys and just show you that it's normal for her to leave her babies there and go off and graze. So I'll show you that clip here. These guys are just a day old. Look how little they are. These are twins. So the mom will leave them kind of bedded down, and then she goes and eats. So these guys are just taking a little nap here. When your kid is first nursing, they're gonna punch their mom's milk sac with their nose pretty hard, and that's in order to find the nipple where they can nurse. And so you're gonna see them walk up with their head and punch it pretty hard. Every now and then when a kid is a few hours old, I've kind of directed them to the nipple if it's taken them a while to find it, but most of the time by punching they can do that. The other thing that when they're a few days old is super important is smell. So the doe and the kid both unite through smell. They smell each other, and that's how the doe knows which one is their kid and vice versa, which one is their mom. That's how they first recognize. So when they're very, very young, I of course pet them and enjoy them, but I try not to just hold them all the time or put my smell all over them, because it's very important that they keep that initial smell, especially for the first few days. After that, they're pretty used to who their mama is, and I can't do too much to mess that up. If you are enjoying this video or any of my content, if you would subscribe, like, or comment on this video or any of my videos, it would be so helpful for me. I love making these, and I feel like I'm trying to make information that I have wanted to know or want to know, and that has been helpful to me. But it helps to have encouragement from you guys if you like it or like any of this content. If you're not into subscribing, I totally get it, that's fine. But if you would like or comment this video, it just helps YouTube continue to push my content to other people that this might be helpful for. The other thing to watch out for when your kids are real young is parasites. So coccidia is a parasite that goats have, and goats generally always have some, and animals in general always have some sort of parasite, but it's about containing the load and not letting the load of the worm or parasite get too big for the goats. And so when kids are very, very young, the main concern of parasites is coccidia. And coccidia will affect the goat's blood. It will suck a lot of the nutrients out of their blood system. I'm not explaining that super well, but it basically makes your goat anemic. And so your goat could have diarrhea and things like that. And when kids are young and on the ground, that's one thing to be concerned about. Now, the mom's milk will pretty much give the kids the antibiotics or the antibacteria that they need. Their milk is very helpful in that, but it's still something to be aware of. And so when I first have kids in the ground, I put this stuff called Horrid in their water. This doesn't rid the goats of coccidia, but it helps manage it. And so I put this in their water just for the first few weeks. Coccidia is really a concern for the first few months of the kids' lives, but I just do this for the first few weeks to minimize the load in my adult does and my adult goats, and then it just helps ensure that I won't have that in my kids. The things to look out for if you do think your baby goats are sick or in danger is going to be like a dark diarrhea, sticky poop that smells. So they're drinking milk, their poop shouldn't really smell that much, but if you notice that their goat is sticky, runny, and starts to smell, you might want to consult your vet because they might have a parasite that they've picked up on the ground. So just something to keep in mind with. However, the first few days, your kids' poop will look really sticky and yellow, or it can, and that's okay. They're just getting used to the milk, and they're just having some colostrum buildup, which is fine. So if their poop looks real sticky and yellow, that is okay. And I have a video to show you of that right here. Okay, so that sticky yellow poop is fine. The only thing to be concerned about is that the mom should be cleaning up your goat. If they get too much poop stuck on, if your doe is not doing a great job cleaning her up or cleaning them up, then you do need to be concerned because you don't want to block. You don't want that to get stuck on there and block other poop from coming out. So just be aware and make sure your mamas are taking care of them, cleaning them up, and all of that, but that shouldn't be an issue. The only other thing I'm going to say about when they're newborns is that they will have a little umbilical cord hanging still. I don't view that as a problem. Some people are worried about infection, so they cut it off and they spray a little iodine on it. The umbilical cord will fall off with time. All of these have lost their umbilical cords and they're a few weeks old. And so I don't really worry about that. Just watch it. An infection could potentially come with the umbilical cord. I don't have a ton of goats and they've got quite a bit of space, and so I'm not as worried about an infection, but just keep that in mind. Lastly, as they get old, they don't do much. They will start to nibble on grass after a few weeks and eat a little bit of dry food, which is great, but still highly supplemented by their mom's milk. I start to wean my goats or sell/give them away at 6 to 8 weeks. You can as early as 30 days, but I like to leave them on their mom's milk a little bit longer, so I start to kind of sell them at 6 to 8 weeks when they're still young, but they are able to be weaned. I also just watch. I watch if they are starting to eat a lot of grass or eat a lot of dry food. We don't feed a ton of dry food, just every now and then for a treat, but when I do feed it as a treat, I kind of watch our goats and see if they eat some dry food. And then that gives me an indication that they're probably ready to be weaned and they're probably okay without mom. One thing though to be concerned about when you have a big, or just be aware of when you have a big herd, is that the boys can start to conceive as early as 2 months old. And so if you're going to keep your herd together, you just might want to be careful. Your billy goat could start to get aggressive around your boys if you keep them too long together, especially if he starts to feel threatened by that boy coming of age. So just something to be aware of. The girls take a little bit longer. They can kind of start to conceive at 6 to 8 months, but typically you want to wait until they're a little longer, maybe 10 months old. So just something to be aware of, because 2 months passes by really quickly, and then if you don't have a plan on what to do with your billies, whether that's to weather them, sell them, then your current billy goat could start to get aggressive with these boys. So just something to keep in mind as you're raising goats. I hope you enjoy the babies. They are the cutest. They run around, they jump around. They are just one of my favorites to have here, with their personalities and their energy and their little noises. So I hope you enjoy having your babies.